Hey everyone, Mars from Consequence here. I want to show you guys Smolderon. And I know this is going to wall a ton of guilds. This is the first boss that comp matters, that player skill really matters, and like you need like a conceptual like idea of the fight to even get to the end of the fight. Not you'll actually be here for like 300, 200, 300 pulls. You'll see guilds pull it like 200 times now, and that's just because they just took like 120 pulls to figure out what they were doing. But you can do that by like pull 2 if you study hard enough. So the first thing we're going to do here, and these are just markers for generic setup, but um, this is not me. Usually this tier I've had me, but the VOD's like completely gone. So this is the other hunter in the
Three,
guild, and he's doing a
two,
lot of calls for this, so
one.
I thank him for that. Um, but the idea here is we're going to pull the boss here. And there's like core mechanics that repeat themselves every single time that just need to be learned. But let's take a look at the comp real quick. There's some better classes in here. Rogues, Hunters, Demon Hunter are all like the strongest range classes. We don't have the ability just to stack a bunch of them, nor do like our players play them at like a level. Like if you just pick up an alt randomly and just throw it into a boss like this, it's just not gonna be like mechanically sound enough to kind of handle how Smolderon works. So don't feel like we even make those types of decisions when we do this. But let's talk about the healing comp, what actually matters more. So the healing composition is basically, I will say, a disc priest is borderline mandatory. You can get away with not having one. There are going to be kills without one, but you are setting yourself up for absolute failure without a disc priest, and I'm going to show you why. It just makes certain parts of the fight way harder than they have to be. Um, Now, the best comp for this is double disc priests, and then like Holy Paladin and Mistweaver Monk, which Mistweaver is probably the second best healer in this fight. But again, we don't have a Mistweaver, so right now we're just doing disc priests, a budget disc priest, basically like a Resto Druid, um, and we have our Holy Paladin, and then we have a Resto Shaman who's just a really good player, and we're just making it work. So the first thing here we're going to go through is we're going to pull the boss over to this marker, and then you're going to get, just like Heroic, you're going to get the circles, the overheats, and then the soak. So he doesn't get marked here, so he knows he has the soak. He's going to take the soak, and now our goal is to get to the over on this edge here. So we're moving out. These on the ground are pulls dropped when you take the healing absorb off. So ideally you want to heal them ASAP so they all stick in the same spot. But depending on your healing comp, like if you have double disc priest, it's going to be like way more consistent for you. But depending on your healing comp, it might not be a stack, but this is the first few seconds of the pull. So they have everything ready. And now we're just dodging fire and baiting right here. So this is a pretty good bait. That's not the best bait in the world, but you can see that we're making the fire here, and we're trying to bait it all into one area because this is setting us up for success at the end of the fight when we're like back all the way around. So we're all baited into one area, and we have this blue marker down, but he's controlling the blue marker right now, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the first thing's going to come out are these orbs. So there's two macros going on. I don't know how the meta will change over time. So when we did the boss, we had to use a macro that basically displayed a list, and the time you hit your macro, it would display the list in that order. So Hawk DH hit the macro first, Zeb second, Scott third, and Die fourth. So now he's calling manually like, okay, Hawk hit, wait for Vaughn. Okay, Zev hit, wait for Vaughn. Those are the calls being made, and that's how we're doing the orbs. Now, okay, there's going to be a lot to talk about. So, this is the second set. So, he knows that he did not have the circle the first time. Or, sorry, he didn't have the circle the first time, so he will have it the second time. This weak aura, you can just grab off of Wago. It works for the most part. There's a few things that need to kind of be said. So the first thing that needs to be said is these four that I'm going to showcase here, line 1, line 2, line 3, and line 4, these are all accurate. The vertical line, which is going down, is accurate 50% of the time. The other 50% of the time, the line is going to be up. It's going to pick a 50-50 for north and south. The weak aura designer just put it south because you don't really want a line in front of your face. It's easier just to use this and just to draw an imaginary line here. The second thing to note is that if you turn your camera, it doesn't mean your character is facing that way. So you need to do a tiny step forward just to realign your character before you drop this every single time. So you'll see here, he's probably going to do that. He's trying to apply space, and he's going to he's going to move. Perfect. And let's see where the waves go. So you can see they're coming out here, and that's how you deal with that mechanic. Now, let's talk about the orbs and the soak. So right now, there's still orbs going on. You can see them here in the weak aura, and there's a soak out. So the last guy is trying to get his orb. If you miss this soak because you're dealing with orbs, that is 1000% okay. It doesn't matter if you have the damage buff. You are one player in a raid size. You will just feel bad, your damage is bad, but it will not matter. The other thing to note is you can't outplay it. If you know you're fourth in the list, you can run far and then run close, and the orb will be chasing you when you're soaking. You can't outplay it. But again, if you're going to miss, it is 1000% okay to miss the soak. The other thing to note on the macro, and I should have talked about this when I was talking about the macro before, is there's two macros. So there's the one where we're clicking the macro, we didn't have access to the other one. Then there's a new one now where they realize the orbs have a threat table, so it will order it for you, which is probably easier to use if you're just starting to prog the boss. So it will order the list for you, and then you can just do it from there. But this is basically us clicking the macro. Also note that the orbs come out one at a time. They don't all spawn at the same time. So this is probably the order that they spawned in, and then the previous person clicked the macro. Now the second part of this is the hit. So you can see the healing absorbs are out here. And this is where the Disc Priest becomes powerful. Because right now, we are about to shoot lava waves, and there's healing absorbs out. And you have a 2-second window. Ideally, you get all the healing absorbs off within that 2-second window, so everything is here, and the players are going to move this way. We're basically making a little tunnel for players. There's also going to be players back here, but we'll talk about that later. But you can see they're making a little tunnel for players here, and this group is going to move in this direction. And you'll probably see him do it throughout this fight, but right now he's on the outside. So the absorbs are coming off. It looks like he got all the absorbs off except for one right now. They're trying to stutter step, and they're trying to wait until everyone's absorbs off. And now once the lava waves come, they're booking it forward, and they're going to the safe zone, which is basically over here. There's way less waves over here, so it's easier to dodge. They're dodging, they're dodging, they're dodging, and then we're moving the boss for new orbs. So you can see he's fixated. He clicked the macro, but again, he probably got it second. It's just they come out staggered, but you will have access just to the list. And it's going to go Warlock 1, and he's kiting it, but he's kind of staying close because he knows he's 2. He's going to hit it, and then the last 2 are going to go. So let's talk Intermission. This is an old weak aura. There's a better, newer weak aura now. You can also use this. But basically, the idea here is never miss a ball. Never miss a ball and never step in fire. Rogues do some weird cloak fire thing. If you're a rogue, you can look into that. But never get hit by fire and never miss a ball. It is better to straight up die than miss a ball. Because if you die, then they will despawn. If you let the boss get stacks, you're just going to set yourself up for failure. You can kill the boss with a few stacks in theory, but it's not worth doing. So you can see here that he's collecting his orbs. Now, I want to talk about this slightly. So if you position yourself farther back in the room like this, your orbs are going to be more grouped by design because they can't spawn that far behind you. So you actually will see all our healers kind of back here just so they can grab their orbs quickly so they're able to heal the raid up. Or they can heal the raid up, then they grab their orbs depending on what they feel is necessary. But everyone has their orbs, and now we're going. And again, like if one hits the boss, it's very bad. And then we're gonna get through the fight like this. We're gonna do the phase like this. We're just following this thing, but again, you'll have a better one. There's better ones out there now. So now we're gonna be playing. Let's move the blue marker game. He's doing it. So the first thing he did is he's moved the blue marker, and this is kind of where we're orienting the boss and how we're gonna play. So what we're gonna do here is every single time we phase, we're making, we're doing like, we're looking at the fire and we're making some calls. So this is a cut in the fire, and our goal is to try to stack more fire in the cut because like once this closes, it's basically useless space. So might as well try to bait fire in there. The tanks are moving the boss over to this blue marker-ish. Not on the marker, but you can see they're orienting themselves. And he does not get the circle the first time, so he's getting in. And right now you have a lot of time because you have tornadoes and then you have baits. So, sorry, you have tornadoes waiting for the healing absorbs and now baits. Now one thing you can do here is if you're ever scared, you can just move into someone's circle. So like in theory, you can just go stand on this guy because you'll know you'll never get hit by his waves. But the goal here is to drop fire near fire. So you can see they're kind of hovering towards fire. We have one player here, a bunch here, and then a bunch of range trying to bait here, but we got 2 spawns there, so that's good. So we're putting fire near old fire to conserve space. So those are pretty good baits. Now again, you're going to get the orbs mechanic. You're just going to call them in order. You're going to wipe this a lot. It's just players just have to learn like how much they have to kite. And now we're doing the second set again. So they're going to get in, and we're making like a tunnel for them. We don't want to go too far up in the tunnel. Like we don't want this guy standing here because you're just gunning him down. But they're getting their healing absorbs off. If you look at that, everyone has their healing absorb off. That's the power of the Disc Priest. And now, once your healing absorbs off, you know you can just book it through the tunnel. And they're going to bait fire here when they're running, and then they're safe. So that was really, really clean. There is one bad fire puddle right here. This is just going to happen, but we'll just have to play well in the next set. Like this was probably someone that baited and then ran too far. So again, get your orbs, very critical. Never be in this fire, always get orbs. Never be in the fire, always get orbs. Guilds who wipe on this boss for 200 pulls have failed to get orbs usually. Eventually they'll figure out the baiting and then just the boss will just overwhelm them. When the boss gets stacks, he will do more damage, which means lava waves will start one-shotting, and the frontal, the circle the boss does group soak does a lot more damage. That's a gate. You'll gate another time in this fight. It just goes from the front to the back. Sometimes your warlock will put the gateway down and it will just land you in fire, so you have to take a step backwards. Just keep that in mind. So this is a good example. So he puts the blue marker down here, and we've identified like, hey, this is a very bad drop. Can we save this pull by dropping things here and here? So you can see the blue marker's down, and we're like, okay, we need to get this bait done well. So this time he gets the circle first, and we're going to drop, and you're going to see here, they're going to get the healing absorb off, and now we're trying to bait as close to the old fire as possible. So you can see everyone's trying to hover over here and see where the fire goes, and now we're closing this gap a little, and we've basically saved the pull, but we'd have to do one more bait properly. So we get the pull here. I wish he played towards mid, but I'll talk about that. Maybe he'll play towards mid near the end of the fight, and I can show you some stuff off. But that's the idea, is bait near the old fire. So next, same combo. They're making a channel, but see, they're not going too far. There's not someone up here, and there's not someone here. This is by design, because if someone's all the way up here, they're going to bait bad pull and then gun down. So you got to be really careful. But they're going to come in. Healing absorbs are out. This is up to the Disc Priest to get everyone's shields up. While this is going on, you can see that everyone's shield is basically up here. These are the healing absorb drops, and these are the waves. And he's shooting through the gap because he knows that like this spot is easier to play around. So now you have macros again and orbs. So you're going to handle this. And again, collect your orbs, collect your orbs, collect your orbs. Very important. The boss for us has 0 stacks right now. And this is one of the reasons we can do this without a healer. So now you can see that we're heading into the last part of the fight. This is Lust, by the way. Is the last part of the fight. Oh, I didn't even talk about that, but we'll talk about it at the end. So you Lust here on this intermission. We're going to get the healer up with our last res. Whenever it ends, he's going to take. And right now we're kind of identifying, like, okay, where's the cut? But we've done such a good job that we're kind of just going to drop near old fire. However, we don't want to drop in that inner ring circle. We need to leave a path for the last part of the fight. So here he's going to not get a circle, so he's going to go in. Okay, and now once his healing absorb goes off, he's going to try to go inside here. He was going inside that guy because he couldn't get hit by his fire. And now we're trying to bait pulls near the old fire. And look how good this is. This is really, really, really good. And we are in an amazing position for the end of this fight. Because this last one is very painful, so the more space you have, the easier, like the worse, or the better it is to, I guess it's easier to outplay a bad drop, is what I'm trying to say. So we have the last set here. He's going in this gap here. These guys are taking it. They're getting the healing absorbs off, and then they're going to shoot through the gap. Some of them moved this way, which is completely and utterly fine just from the amount of space they had. So what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to run in here probably. Yep, see how he's running inside? Because he knows he can't hit. Some people went the other way. That's also fine. And we've set ourselves up for success. Now, where you can see, these are the people that ran through. These are the people that ran that way. We set ourselves up for success for the last part here, and we have a lane to work with. So we're going to deal with these last sets here. And as I said, it's going to be get your orbs, please, please, please. You can see we have a weak aura. And now, once this last guy hits this Mythic orb, you can look the Hellstone Health Pot. You have things available because it's going to come out of this phase, and then he's just going to go into his enrage sequence. So we're going in, and you can see here, look how good this is. We have barely any fire in this circle. Look how much space we have here. Some guilds will have like 1 pixel to stand in because they didn't set this up. So here he's going to do his knockback. We're going to run in. We have a win rush there every single time. And now it's just the enrage, but we're so far ahead from how good our baits were that he's not even going to get 1 tick off. But let's talk about one thing that wasn't shown in this video. So this first fire drop, you have a ton of time to bait near old fire. So he's playing here, which is fine, but some other range, especially your mobile range, will like to play in this part of the room, even if you're standing in the middle of the room. Because what you can do, like look at this. What you can do is you can drop and then run to the fire. Because you know you're not dropping fire immediately, or you're not dropping your fire pulls immediately. It's in 5 seconds, so you can drop and then run over. You'll see run, 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 run. So they're running to the side. So they have a ton of time. So that's number one. You cannot do that on the second set. It happens at the same time. The other thing to note is DPS CDs. Every class is different. Look up your CDs when people are using them, because it might not be as obvious as you may think for every single class. So do research on that. Do not just think you can metagame it and just like figure it out yourself. It's already been figured out. But that's it for Smolderon. Small tips at the very, very end. You don't see it here, but you can spell wording an execute class like a warrior, or a shadow priest, or something, and they can just live and try to kill the boss. And then healers should be DPSing here once everyone's stable, because he doesn't do any more damage, so healers need to be DPSing. That's Smolderon. Hopefully this helped. Best of luck in the boss. Hopefully it goes smoothly, and I'm out. Peace.